you think I'm spooky?
Be afraid. Be very afraid. What have you done to his eyes?
Good evening, and welcome to Soft and Spooky. I got a new setup.
I said ice cream cake!
I did move recently, and I now have a neon sign. Well, it's not really neon, but I have a sign with my, ow, I just hit my elbow, with my Soft and Spooky logo on it, and I'm so excited! Since I am in a new space now, I am kind of figuring out some of the quirks of setting up to film. So I hope that you all enjoy this new setup, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below as long as it's nice. For today's video, I thought it would be super fun to do a watch party on one of my favorite movies, Killer Klowns from Outer Space. If you've never seen one of my watch party videos, essentially I go through the entirety of a horror movie or show, and I give kind of my commentary on it as well as little fun jokes here and there. So with that being said, as a disclaimer, there will be full spoilers ahead, and I highly recommend you check out Killer Klowns from Outer Space before watching this video. It's just such a blast, man. Like, it's a good time. Once you've watched it, come on back and we can talk about it like a little slumber party and watch a movie together. So without further ado, let's sink our teeth in. Whoo, we are back in the 80s, baby. This movie released in 1988, and it had a budget of $2 million, which to you and me sounds like a crazy amount of money, but it's actually relatively small of a budget for a movie when you factor in all like the production costs and all of the effects that they accomplish in this film. It's kind of amazing. The movie was also, you're not getting free product placement, although I will say, Diet Dr. Pepper refreshes like no other. So this movie was created by the Chiodo brothers, which I always want to pronounce as Chiodo because of the band Chiodos, which I used to listen to all the time in high school, and I totally don't still listen to them. Speaking of music, I cannot go without mentioning the intro song to this movie is an absolute banger. It is so good, and it has been in my head nonstop. I'm not too sure about YouTube's policies regarding music, so I am going to do a vocal rendition. B.T. Bonham said it so long ago. There's one born every minute who love you know. Killer Klowns. I don't know the lyrics that well. And then the merry-go-round. Honestly, punk bands, horror, just they mesh. They're so good together. I mean, think about Pet Sematary. The Ramones, because Stephen King was such a big fan of the Ramones, they did a song for Pet Sematary, and it's called Pet Sematary, and it's one of my favorite songs by them. So technically the first character that we're introduced to is Officer Mooney, who is just this tight-ass butthole of a cop. His character is played by John Vernon, who I actually recognize from Animal House, and he was also like a tight-ass butthole. So he knows his niche. So he's a cop, and he just does not like the youths.
Son of a bitch.
Over at Top of the World, aka Makeout Point in this movie, we have a very cheesy intro to these two little rascals named the Terenzi brothers. They're driving around in this ice cream truck that has a huge clown on the top of it, and the conspiracy side of me likes to think that maybe one of the Chiodo brothers purchased an ice cream truck and was like, I don't know what to do with this. And so they decided to just form a movie around it. I will say, like, the beginning of the movie, we're kind of hopping all over the place. We're meeting new people, and I will hands down say my very favorite character is introduced now. His name is Farmer Gene Green. He kind of looks like Dr. Bob Kelso from Scrubs, but then he sounds like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Haley's comet, and he's landed in our backyard!
Also, oh my gosh, I've never noticed this before, but it wasn't until this watch. You can totally see a crew member in the doorway there. That's great. So Farmer Gene Green sees this, what he thinks is Halley's Comet coming down, and so he rushes over there and discovers that there's a circus tent in place of where the comet hit. So Farmer Gene Green is scoping it out with his faithful hound dog, Pooh Bear. So cute. And it's awful. The dog gets captured in a net, and I will say the dog does great dog acting, so I hope they got a lot of treats that day. So Gene tries to, like, I guess grab one of the string. Oh, I can't do that motion. He tries to grab one of the strings holding up the tent, and he gets electrocuted, as is tradition.
The prince now attempting to remove one of the princess's arms, as is, of course, the tradition.
So the actor for Gene Green is Royal Dano, and I love the delivery here.
What in tarnation's going on here?
It's not very often that you get an unironic what in tarnation, and it's just, this movie has everything. So what I was kind of surprised about is that we actually get our first look at one of the clowns, and this is an early scene in the movie, so it's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't bother me as much because I am so impressed by the character design, but usually I like the villains to be seen way later in the movie. Shouts out to Darcy F. Olsen because the costuming on this movie is just immaculate. It is so well done. Okay. One thing that I did notice also with this watch is that, like, we just get the most jarring cut after you see the clown for the first time. I did not make this edit here. It just goes right to the police station. So Officer Mooney has caught a couple of these kids.
Yeah, it's a beautiful night. We were walking around. We didn't do nothing.
Sir, that is a 37-year-old man. I will say, his reactions are a little over the top.
And it's scum like you that are killing this town.
Kurt, come on, Kurt.
Jeez, dude, switch to decaf. The other cop at the station, which is, I mean, it seems like there's only two. It's a very small budget they have here. But his name is Dave Hansen, and he seems to have a little bit more sympathy. I sound drunk. Sympathy, but it does get a little misinterpreted.
Take it easy. Just
What's
college
the matter,
kids.
Dave? You got a thing for these little boys?
We also get introduced to the leads. I will say I like both of them individually, but their chemistry, no, it doesn't work.
Whenever I want to have a good time, I call Rich and Paul. A night out with those guys is a total adventure.
I'm pretty sure the actor for Mike here just like completely forgot his lines because that was a really long pause. So the two are smooching, and then they discover the same thing flying across the sky and go to check it out. Obviously, and understandably, Debbie is hesitant to go into a random circus tent in the middle of the woods, but her man Mike, he's just overpowered by his curiosity. Right here is one of the reasons why I do find this movie so impressive, and it's just, this set design is incredibly unique and colorful and fun. I just feel like there's so much joy put into the set design, the costumes, as well as the prop designs, and the overall theming around everything that the Kyoto brothers did. One thing I don't appreciate, there are some questionable lines in the movie.
Or, right over here, we've got Belinda, the Billy McWonder. Watch her binge and purge before your very eyes.
But just wow, look at the fun set design here. Also, the matte painting, I want that framed in my house. That is stunning. In a different room, the two run in and there are these cotton candy cocoons that are hanging upside down, and we also get fun little sound effects of the popcorn kind of popping in this bubble thing.
Smells like candy.
We do we do kind of get a feel for why this movie does have like a B movie status, because some of this acting is so, it's just so funny to me.
I've never seen anything like this before. Have you?
No.
After Mike discovers that one of the cocoons actually has one of his former friends, he freaks out and drops something, which alerts one of the clowns in the room. Ooh, that's a good shot there. I like that. As they run away, popcorn explodes and kind of like sticks to their clothes and hair. And then one of my favorite sight gags that the movie does, oh my gosh, it's so good. They make a balloon animal and it's like a little dog and they put it on a leash and it has like barking noises as it chases them. I will say there are certain points in this movie, and it gets even worse later, where it is a little bit eerie. Like there's the shot of Mike and Debbie driving off and the clowns just like getting up slowly. I don't know. Ooh. I'm not even like terrified of clowns. Like clowns aren't one of my big fears, and that still kind of creeps me out. So we do find out a little bit of tea that Debbie actually used to date Officer Dave Hansen. I'm just going to call him Dave because that's such a long name. But yeah, she used to date Dave, and so they go over to the police station so maybe she can talk to him about how they saw 2 bodies in that circus tent. Unfortunately, Mooney is there and obviously does not believe them, and he proceeds to like kind of give a Christopher Walken impression.
Killer clowns from outer space. Holy shit.
Killer clowns from outer space. No. Killer clowns from outer space. From outer space. Killer clowns from outer space.
The ice is gonna break!
He doesn't believe them at all and kind of pokes fun at Dave for listening to Debbie and Mike's story.
Go ahead, Dave. Make a dummy out of yourself. But you're not gonna make a dummy out of me.
Interesting line. Wonder if that's gonna come back in any way. Sure doesn't seem important to me. Debbie gets dropped off at her house by Dave, and he also goes off with Mike to check out where the tent was. There is no tent out there, but something weird happened at Makeout Point where all of these cars are emptied, and there's this strange pink substance all over the cars. I do kind of wonder if they used that like fake spiderweb stuff and spray painted it pink, because if they did, that stuff is so annoying to work with. So we start to see that Dave is really believing their story, and he brings over these cotton candy covered glasses. Waiting for please focus on me. Focus on me.
Check this out. That's the stuff. That's the stuff that I was telling you about that was all wrapped around Joe Lombardo. Where'd you get that?
Where do you think, Mike? Use context clues, buddy.
Bob McReed? He was up here tonight with me and Debbie. Those are his glasses. They got him. He's dead.
Oh my gosh. Imagine this reaction in a serious horror movie.
You are sick, Annie. I need to call the police.
They got him. He's dead.
All right. I have held out long enough, and I do have to declare that I have 2 favorite clowns. One is Shorty, and the other is Rudy, because they're just big, silly, dumb little idiots, and I love them. Little by little, the clowns are overtaking the town, and Shorty and Rudy are just terrorizing this convenience store. I think this might be like one of the most fun sequences of the movie, because we're kind of seeing what each clown does as their little shtick of killing people. And we do also get this puppet show where this guy is watching in a park at a gazebo in the middle of the night by himself. Yeah, what the hell was that? So when the clown finally revealed itself, you really get a sense of how large these things are, because I could only imagine how large the actual like puppet theater is. So that was kind of crazy. Again, I do feel like there just is this really good balance between being campy and silly and also being creepy and bringing back that horror element to the movie. I think this scene is so unsettling. There's that really big one that's like beckoning a little girl outside of this pizza shop. I think what really helps with the effect of this scene is that the music is very subdued. Like the score is very subdued. And then there's not very many sound effects. It's very quiet. And I think that that was a really strong choice. Okay, so back to the fun campy stuff, because we have my absolute favorite scene of this movie. We have Shorty pulling up to this group of bikers. He's got like a little bicycle and a little horn and stuff, and they're just instantly mean to him, which, like, how dare you? You deserve it. And then one dude just like straight up destroys Shorty's bike, but we do get our very first look at gore makeup in this movie.
What are you gonna do?
Knock my block off.
Another scene that might look familiar because I actually use it in my intro. We have a scene where there's a group of people waiting for the bus, and the one clown comes up and starts doing some shadow puppets. Before he actually starts doing the shadow puppets, he's like doing these hand motions, and something about it, it just really gives me strong like Fushigi vibes.
It's here. It's wild. It's sweeping the nation. It's Fushigi!
So right as Mike and Dave, or Officer Hansen, pull up, they actually see the clown doing a shadow puppet of a T-Rex, and it just goes boo and gulps up all of the bus stop people. I gotta say, like, it's not a perfectly seamless edit, but I think that looks really good. Like, especially for being in the 80s, I don't know, maybe I have a little bit of, I definitely have a soft spot, but also I just, for their budget, like, I think they kind of killed it here. That looks good to me. So after seeing that, Dave tries to run over the clown and they crash into the wall. And I don't think that the actor for Dave recognized that, like, he wasn't still supposed to be driving in this scene. From there, Dave decides to go back to the station and see if he can call for more help. And Mike runs into the Terenzi brothers and he convinces them to give him a ride to Debbie's.
Does she have any roommates?
Yes, she's got two. She's got two beautiful roommates with big boobs.
Do they like ice cream?
They love it.
What are we waiting for?
Did they just tweak each other's nipples? All right, baby, let's get to the scene we've all been waiting for. Officer Mooney getting his comeuppance. So he sees a clown and he's still convinced it's a prank. And it's just like, everybody's calling it. And like, buddy, come on. You think you're that important? Officer Mooney decides to handcuff the clown and try to put it in the holding cell, but the hands detach. And what I thought was really interesting here is that when the clown goes in, he goes to like hit it with a flashlight, which, come on, man. That's fighting a little dirty, don't you think? And so he hits it, and then the clown's head fully pivots 180? Yeah, 180. And I think that John Vernon's acting here really looked good. Like, he genuinely looks terrified. A little bit later, Dave Hansen arrives to the police station, and this is actually, I'm pretty sure, the first point where we get like a genuine jump scare. I don't think that the punk boys made it.
They got him. He's dead.
You get that? Continuity. Dude, this scene with Officer Mooney is genuinely creepy. It really freaked me out the first time that I watched it.
Don't worry, Dave. All we want to do is kill you.
I don't like that clown. Like, let's bring back Shorty. I don't like this one. So, Dave, excuse me, I'm like talking through a burp. So Dave Hansen starts shooting at this clown. It came out blasting.
I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
So Dave is shooting at the clown and he ends up hitting it in the nose, and that explodes and kills the clown. So, happy little accident. On the way to Debbie's, the Terenzi bros finally recognize that like Mike is not messing with them because they see I mean, honestly, it kind of looks like a clown parade. I don't know, like, especially here, I've done some backstage work in college on shows, and then I've also designed makeup for shows, and I see so much joy put into these scenes. It looks like it must have been an absolute blast to work on this production. Another element that I haven't touched on yet, but I need to mention, is the score for this film. It was done by John Mazzari, and I think he also understood the assignment. He added in these fantastical sounds and these kind of, it feels very much inspired by a carnival or a circus, and I think that it still stays true to the theming of the movie, and I think all the elements just work so well together. So back at Debbie's, we see what this sentient popcorn is capable of, because it just creates these little creatures. They're clown babies. Debbie starts running around the house, and she discovers that she is surrounded by all of the clowns, and oh my god, look at the little fire hats. They got the little fire hats. That is so cute. Also, good lord, look at how big these things are. Like, compared to Debbie, that's terrifying. So they end up capturing her, and they put her in a giant balloon. Mike and the Terenzi brothers see the clown leaving with Debbie, and so they decide to follow it, and they also tag along with Dave, and they follow it to the amusement park in the town. The clown car gets to the amusement park first, and they all come filing out of this super tiny car. I love it. I love it. They all they all suddenly have pies in their hands, and we get this just masterpiece of dialogue.
What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
But those weren't regular pies. Those were, I'm assuming, acid pies, because it melts the security guard down into this pile of ice cream with a cherry on top. The whole crew of our protagonists arrives shortly after, and they start making their way through the funhouse. The Terenzi brothers immediately just get into trouble because they fall into this ball pit, and it really proves the rule 34, because they're hot clowns, baby!
Are you Debbie's roommate?
Also, I love this stupid-ass callback. That's so funny. There's a dog eating in the background, just so you know. That's what that noise is. So distracting. So Mike and Dave find that same cocoon room that Debbie and Mike had found, and we find out that those little cotton candy cocoons were not just for decoration, because they are actually the clown's food. With the crazy straw, like, I am having so much fun watching this movie. I love it so much. So they end up shooting Debbie. No, just kidding. But they do shoot at the balloon that Debbie is in, and she's able to get out of it. And so now the dog's drinking. Oh, yeah. So they, Mike and Dave, Mike and Dave actually end up shooting at the balloon that Debbie's in, and she's able to escape, and so they're all running out, but they end up getting surrounded by all of the clowns. But wouldn't you know, the Terenzi bros come through, and they end up crashing through with the ice cream truck. So they start to distract the clowns by pretending to be like a clown overlord, which is that little clown on the top of the ice cream truck. Unfortunately, this awakens the queen bitch, Clownzilla. Fun little fact though, Clownzilla was played by Charles Chiodo, which I think is pretty neat. What's not neat is that the Clownzilla starts to wail on the ice cream truck while the Terenzi bros are inside of it. I'm not sure that's how gas tanks work. This movie really had a pyro budget. Like, did Michael Bay direct this? So Dave Hansen decides to be a martyr, and he distracts Clownzilla while Mike and Debbie get away. So the clown grabs him, and he struggles to find a way out of his grip, but check out the big brain on Brad, because he pulls out his like patch, or no, not patch, his badge pin, and pops the clown's nose with that. So the entire spaceship just explodes. And what I thought was also a really nice touch is that after it explodes, it turns into like fireworks. And I think that that's also really good theming. And I think that's so fun. And thankfully, we find out that Dave and the Terenzi bros both survive. No justice for Farmer Gene Green and Pooh, but I'm gonna keep trying to stay strong. What also is like such a sign of the time or the era that this was made was they're like, oh, is it over? And then the last little like jump scare or whatever, but the pies hit them, and that's how the movie ends, with a little freeze frame and the absolute banger of a theme song. And that is Killer Klowns from Outer Space. I feel like this video, at least for filming, flew by for me, because I get so excited talking about this movie because it's ridiculous. Like, it's not something that you hyperanalyze and critique. Like, I know what it is. It knows what it is. And I think that's why I appreciate it. And at the same time, too, I just feel like so much love and care was put into every element, with the score, with the costuming, with just like the general design of the clowns. That's so well done. And then the special effects makeup, and just, I don't know. And like these weird lines, I think that this movie is such an iconic piece of horror that I don't think gets enough like recognition. Again, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Definitely leave it a thumbs up so I know to make more watch parties, because I personally really enjoy making them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I am trying to hit 500 subscribers in the year 2024, and we are so close. And I would love if you all stuck around. And with that, I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to stay soft and spooky. Bye. Oh, my voice. Bye. Bye. Bye.